अस्सलाम वालेकुम, you're watching NewsOne Special. I'm Nadia Naqi with you. ये एक स्पेशल प्रोग्राम है। पाकिस्तान में बहुत सारे मसाइल हैं जिनमें से पानी का मसला बहुत बड़ा मसला है। When we talk about the water issue, let me just tell you that कराची में एक बहुत ज़बरदस्त सी एक कॉन्फ्रेंस हुई और ये 3rd इंटरनेशनल वाटर कॉन्फ्रेंस थी हिसार फाउंडेशन के अंडर, और इसका मकसद यही था कि तमाम स्टेक होल्डर्स को, मकातब फ़िक्र को एक साथ इकट्ठा करना ताकि पानी के जो मसाइल हैं उनको हल किया जा सके। पानी एक ऐसा मसला है कि हम बात करते हैं कि पानी की तकसीम सही नहीं है, हमारी जो एग्री लैंड्स हैं उनको पानी सही तौर पर नहीं मिल रहा। इसके साथ साथ एक दूसरा मसला पानी का ये भी है कि सैनिटेशन के हवाले से, क्लीन ड्रिंकिंग वाटर के हवाले से, अवेलेबिलिटी ऑफ वाटर के हवाले से, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी के हवाले से। सो पानी वो बुनियादी ज़रूरत है पाकिस्तान की इस वक्त, पूरी दुनिया की तरह, क्योंकि ग्लोबल कंडीशन में भी पानी पर बहुत बात की जाती है, लेकिन पानी पाकिस्तान के लिए इसलिए इंपॉर्टेंट है बिकॉज पाकिस्तान इज़ वन ऑफ द वाटर स्ट्रेस्ड country, and if we do not try and fix the problems, or if we do not try and find solutions to problems that we are facing, then we're actually going into a severe crisis. So out of the conference, of course, there were very learned people, and we are very I would say honored to have, and it's an opportunity to have Professor David Grey, who has 40 years of experience in water management and development, and he has lived in Africa, America, Asia and Europe. One of the most important thing about David is that Professor David actually had his childhood days in Pakistan, and he was one of the young lads who started working on the water issue in Pakistan. Today it's great to have you back, Professor David, and with so much of experience now in this water management and development, I'm sure that at the conference also, and even now in this program, we'll be able to learn a lot, and people are going to learn a lot how that we can actually overcome problems that we are facing. So first of all, I would like to welcome you, and then of course I'm sure that you know bits and pieces of Urdu.
Pani Mehrabani.
Pani Mehrabani, okay. So Professor David, you're part of this conference and you spoke great about it, the problems and your keynotes and all. But we would like to know, where does Pakistan fit in the current global scenario when we talk about water issue?
Well, first of all, it's a privilege to be back in Pakistan, Nadia, and it's a privilege to be on your channel. And the Hisaar Foundation organised conference was a huge success, and it was heaving with young people.
Right.
So massive amount of passion in the room, and for me at this stage in my life, my primary purpose is to inspire the youth around the world to engage in this issue. Now Pakistan, the Indus is Pakistan, and Pakistan is the Indus.
Right.
And once upon a time in the Indus, several thousand years ago, 6,000–7,000 years ago, was one of the world's great civilizations. In Mohenjo-daro and in Harappa, there's a series of cities. And there are many interesting features with those cities. There were great cities also in Mesopotamia, the Babylonian and the Sumerian cities. There was a great civilization on the Nile, great civilization in China. These four, what are called the river civilizations of that time. And these were the greatest civilizations on the planet. So Pakistan, right at the beginning of organized humanity, was at the forefront of the world.
Wow.
Now, to some extent, those societies grew out of the complexity of these rivers. And the Indus is an extremely complex river system. It rises in high mountains. It runs across a desert into the ocean. And there's a uniqueness to that in South Asia. So a large proportion of the Indus flow comes out of the third pole, the mountains, the annual melting of snow. That's about 45%. Now on the Ganges, that's only 5%. So far more of the contribution to the Indus, to the rivers of South Asia, comes from ice on the Indus than it does in any other river basin in South and Southeast Asia. On the Mekong, it's very low. On the Ganges, it's low. On the Brahmaputra, it's low. On the Indus, it's high. Now, this means that as we look out into the future, if we lose that snow and ice, there's a significant challenge for Pakistan.
Exactly.
But Pakistan, at independence, first a partition in 47, and then with the Indus Treaty being signed with India in 1960, Pakistan was faced with a massive challenge. Pakistan had 10 years to move water from the western tributaries of the Indus to the east, because the eastern rivers under the treaty went to India. And India was busy building a canal to take those rivers down into the Rajasthan desert, which would have completely decimated the irrigation systems of the Punjab. And in this revolution, Pakistan absolutely achieved every single goal. It was a first revolution, water revolution here in Pakistan. The building of institutions, lots of young people working flat out day and night to get the canals in, the dams in, to get the western rivers to move through link canals into the east.
So this was during the 60s?
Absolutely. During the 60s
and the early 70s probably?
It had to be finished by 1970.
Right.
There was a date when India was going to stop the flow across the border.
Okay.
That first revolution demonstrated that Pakistan can do this. And there was a problem afterwards because a lot of that skill left Pakistan, because the incentives were not there to keep them. And I've met people in high positions all around the world. In the district water engineer in Florida, for example, somebody high up in the Murray-Darling in Australia. So across the world, I meet people who came from Pakistan. They still talk about Pakistan with love and passion, but they've left. And I would argue that today we have the need for a second revolution.
In Pakistan?
In Pakistan.
And why do you say so?
And it's a water revolution.
Because when we've been able to do this in the 60s, because we're bringing down the western tributaries down here till the eastern side. So why do you feel, is it not enough? Why do we need another water revolution?
Well, lots of reasons. I mean, let me start with the first.
Okay.
At independence, Pakistan had about, if I'm correct, about 35 million people. Projected in 2050 to be 350 million people. That's 10 times.
So the population has increased?
Massively.
Okay.
Massively. And let me be a little bit shocking and say that one of the most important, well, a significant cause of that is the fact that across rural Pakistan, education is not provided for girls for one reason, because there are no toilets in schools. And where there are no toilets, girls going into puberty don't go to school. And that, frankly, in today's world, is a disgrace. And I use that word deliberately because it's simple to overcome. It's not a difficult thing to do. It needs funds, but it's the kind of thing that if there was a national effort to raise those funds, to give rural people in particular, and people living in the slums of cities. We often call Karachi a big city, but it's quite a small city, but with a very big slum. So the imperative of educating women as we look out into the future in order to this is a personal view, women play an enormously important role in managing water. It's always women that are carrying water. You'll see, and everybody in Pakistan sees this all the time. They will see women and girls, water on their backs, water on their heads, while the men walk past chatting to each other. So there is a challenge, and this one can be solved and solved quickly. Other challenges in Pakistan, yields have gone down, crop yields have gone down, soil is not particularly well managed.
Right.
Many things that can be done. WAPDA was a great institution and was responsible for much of the works in the Indus. Pakistan needs to become great again in water management, and it is the next generation. I mean, to some extent, my generation, the post-First Revolution generation, has failed, and we've failed all over the world. The youth of the world need to understand this is a global challenge. I've just been looking at some films that in a competition that your channel organised, and stunning images, the sort of images that would attract people all over the world to join in a movement for change, a coalition for change. So Pakistan without effective water management is a desert.
Okay, so I'm just going to take a very quick break because you've just spoken about the challenges that Pakistan faces in terms of water, and the availability of, the current scenario is what we're going to talk about. That if it's just about distribution, if it's about management, where are we lacking? What can be done in order to overcome this problem? Let's take a break. Welcome back. Today in NewsOne Special, we have with us Professor David Grey, having 40 years of experience in water management and development. We're talking about the challenges that Pakistan faces in terms of water. How can we make water available to our fields, to the people, and how can we manage this water? Professor David, I'm sure you know more than I do because water has been your subject, and here in Pakistan we have a lot of problem when it comes to clean drinking water, the availability of water, the distribution of water between various provinces. provinces, as well as the energy crisis that we have faced. When we have discussions around, people say that had we constructed more dams, had we had small reservoirs to, store the rainwater, things would have been much more easier as far as water management is concerned, in terms of distribution to provinces, in terms of availability for the common man. Is that true?
Yes, in part, but I think it's important to understand that Pakistan's water inheritance is a very complex one. So
Okay.
and it's up there in the world in terms of the complexity of the water endowment that Pakistan has. A great river, but its flows are highly variable, seasonally variable, and it's a very difficult river system to manage. And I would argue that there are some challenges that are difficult to deal with, but need to be addressed as we look out into the future. The interprovincial dispute, the dispute between Sindh and the Punjab over storages and flows and so on. So even though you have a provincial accord, which is managed by a national organisation, by IRSA, there nevertheless are tensions around this, and the imperative of having solutions that will allow provinces to work together, to manage systems together, and I think that can be done. There are many examples around the world of where different parts of a country own assets together, operate the assets together,
Exactly.
and distribute. So there's no reason why a storage structure in the Punjab couldn't be co-managed by Sindh, in my view. People will say, no, that's politically difficult. Well, do it. Even if it's politically difficult, find a solution. And I'm going to be a little challenging and say that one day it's going to be important to work on this river system with India. Despite the treaty that divides it, it is one river system. And even though it's managed, it crosses borders. And what we've learned from experience is that countries that share rivers with other countries have to find a way to work together. There's a saying that you can pick your you can pick your friend, but you cannot pick your neighbor. The challenge is to make your neighbor your friend. And it's difficult, but the Nile is shared by 11 countries, the Indus just by 3, by Afghanistan, by Pakistan,
and by India.
And relationships with both are not as good as they might be, but there can still be solutions. The engineers and the water people in all 3 of the countries understand that working together one day is important, and I can think of a number of ways in which that could happen.
Right. So interprovincial disputes should be over in order to manage whatever available water that we have. And the second thing is, because we are sharing Indus with 3 countries, we need to come to a point where it should be workable for all of us. In terms of the agri-land, where do you think Pakistan is lacking? What are the solutions, in your opinion, that we can start working on in order to have a good crop yield?
Well, Pakistan's crop yields are at about 1/3 of the world's best performer for rice and wheat, for example.
Right.
Used to be higher, I believe. And there's much that can be done with modern tools and techniques for monitoring for soil moisture that can take Pakistan into the 21st century and ahead. And I've said before, but I'll say again, that the youth of Pakistan today many of the young people I've met just in the last few days have inspired me with their technology grasp, with their energy enthusiasm. The idea of leapfrogging into the future is easy for them. And how do you get people like that into the water business, into the water industry, into water management? Because water is Pakistan and Pakistan is water. And the innovation opportunities, I think, are extraordinarily interesting, exciting, the potential for use of all sorts of remote sensing, for water trading, even for markets. There are examples in Australia where a farmer who's got some surplus water and in fact a farmer who wants additional water can go on their mobile phone, select to buy water, and a farmer that's got surplus will sell it, and within a few hours that water is running down through channels being delivered to another farmer.
Oh, so it's, there is a lot of water economy.
Absolutely. So for Pakistan to revolutionize its water economy is the sort of thing that the young people that I've been with in the last few days could do in their sleep if they committed themselves to it. So to learn from the best experience across the world, and to leapfrog here in Pakistan and go beyond that best experience. You can do that. And that's what I call the second revolution. And the second revolution is not for people of my age, it's for people of your age. What we discussed in the last couple of days is this coalition of the willing, is a movement of people who commit to making this country great in terms of water management. And that's absolutely possible.
So, Professor David, tell me one thing. How about the storage of water that we have, the present storage, the present dam situations that you see? You think we could have done better and we still need to, store water, whatever available water, because we waste a lot of water downstream?
Well, when you've got a highly variable flow and when you've got snowmelt, you have to store water. And I know that there are many opponents to large dams. I personally believe that there are cases. There are good large dams and there are bad large dams. And bad ones are where people are displaced and inadequately compensated. There are examples where displaced people become co-owners of a dam. They get a share of electricity sales for the life of the dam. There are good examples where communities choose to be the next community for the location of a dam. So does Pakistan need storage? Yes, it does. Because when you have the snowmelt, it comes down in a short period. So you need to be able to manage and distribute that water, and you certainly need to store water to put it into the link canals to feed the eastern tributaries. Tarbella is losing its live storage. The sediment load that's been coming down from the mountains for decades now is filling that dam. So the dams proposed above Tarbella and Diama Basha is a case in point. Diama Basha provides that opportunity to give life again to the ability to be able to feed water to the east, and also opportunities for additional hydropower generation down through the system. But I think there are state-of-the-art ways in which dam development can be much more a part of Pakistan's water economy that is shared with everybody, so that people who are in any way affected become beneficiaries and not victims.
Right. I would also like that, because we're coming towards the end of the program, because when we talk about conservation of water, I think this is one aspect among the common man in Pakistan. It has not been, I would say people do not exactly know how important this water is, whatever we are getting, and there's a lot of wastage going on by the common person. So what can we do to conserve water? Because we've talked about conservation of energy a lot, and I do see people now that they believe in it. We haven't been working on this. So how can we go about conserving water in Pakistan?
Pani Pakistan. Part of my answer is people like you, that using the media, using social media, building, and this is the movement. It's a movement of young people, but it's a movement that needs to incorporate those that every single day are affected. I mean, as you go into Baluchistan, and I've been back there since my early childhood on a number of occasions. I was staff of the World Bank for 27 years, and I led the water practice of the World Bank. And the problems you face in the driest parts of Pakistan, you had a temperature of 53.5 degrees just recently, the fourth highest temperature ever recorded on the planet.
Right.
Now, these temperatures rising, if there's one thing you can't survive with for very long, and that's water.
That's water.
So you are a water economy.
So do you see the seriousness now, because you've met with some wonderful people at the conference, all the stakeholders maybe, is there seriousness to manage the water? And you must have spoken about the water revolution. People are looking into it now?
Oh yes, oh yes. And I'm confident that this next generation in Pakistan can make this work and can turn the tide. But you have no choice. And if they fail, the future is not good for Pakistan. It's not good at all. And I think there's a diaspora group also that could be mobilized and motivated to support, at least through skills and perhaps through funds. So I think that the generation that I've met in the last few days, they have the energy, they have the knowledge and the skill, they have the wisdom, and this can be done.
Thank you so much, Professor Grey, for giving us time and for being part of the conference also, so that people could have shared a lot from your experience, and I'm sure that all of you are in touch with each other in order to resolve the issue of water management and development in Pakistan. Pakistan has a great water economy. It's just that we all need to understand the issue, and a lot is being done. And as Professor Grey says, that the younger generation is actually the future for when we talk about overcoming the challenges that we have concerning water. Thank you so much for joining us on NewsOne Special. Take care. Allah Hafiz.
पानी की कहानी। आइए सुने पानी की कहानी। खुश्क होंठों का सवाल, चंद कतरों की आस, जो मिले तो आब हयात। बका की कड़ी जिद्दोजहद, पानी जिंदगी तो जिंदगी आलूदा क्यों? क्या पानी कहीं नहीं? पहाड़ों पर मुंजमद पानी, आसमान से बरसता हुआ पानी, दरियाओं में बहता हुआ पानी, हम सबसे कुछ कहता हुआ पानी। ये आब हयात के अनमोल खजाने प्यासों के लिए ला सकते हैं खुशियों के जमाने। तरसती सिसकती प्यासी जिंदगी, बुझती फसलें, नंगे पैरों का सफर हो सकता है खत्म। सूखे होंठों पे नमी, खुश्क चेहरों पर हंसी मुमकिन है। अगर कतरा कतरा बचा लो, मचली हुई लहरों को बुला लो, बहते पानी को रास्ता दो, जखीरे बनाओ, जिंदगी लौट आएगी, हर बूंद खुशियां लाएगी। प्यास का सफर हो सकता है खत्म, पानी की बस इतनी सी कहानी, पानी की बस इतनी सी कहानी।
पानी और कैश और
पानी नायाब हो गया है भाई। कैश